Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Winnard and I work at Northumbria University, which is in Newcastle. So part of what I do is to teach students at university, which is where you might choose to go after you finished at school, and I teach them about sports science. So my background is that I'm a physiotherapist, so I tend to teach them about the clinical or the medical parts of sports science. But the other half of my job is where it gets really exciting, because I get to work with human spaceflight and astronauts. So at Northumbria, I work in the Aerospace Medicine and Rehabilitation Laboratory. And within that, I've done a couple of different science projects, because my job is a lot like working in science class every single day. So part of what we do is work about keeping astronauts' spines healthy when they go into space. So that's a lot about thinking about, are they having a good posture when they're floating on the space station? And when they come back down to Earth, are they managing to stand up and sit up nice and straight with a nice healthy spine and a good back? The other half of what I do is my science role is that I run the Aerospace Medicine Systematic Review Group. So for that, I spend a lot of time looking at the research that's being done across the whole world and making sure that we synthesize the best quality research to go into the medical guidelines that flight surgeons, and they're the doctors that look after astronauts, they go into their guidelines so that they're looking after the astronauts in the best possible way. You may have heard a lot about fake news and people using sometimes not so good science to make a point that isn't necessarily correct. So this role involves spending a lot of time looking at all the different science, making sure that it's good quality, and then picking the best studies that have been done around the world to make sure that they're the ones that feed into the astronauts' research. So let's show you some of the research that we've been doing and some of the devices that we've got here at the university. What you can see here is an exercise device called the Functional Readaptive Exercise Device. That's quite a long word, so we shorten that down to FRED. So FRED looks like a machine you might find in a typical gym, but what we've done is to take the resistance away. And what you can see from the videos here is that people have to go really slow and control their movement really carefully when they're exercising on it. What we found is that by exercising in this way, it makes people activate key postural muscles in their spine. So that's in their back. And these are muscles that usually help people to stand up and have a good posture, so standing up nice and tall. In space and in people with back pain down here on Earth that maybe have poor posture because maybe they lean forwards, these muscles often become really weak and can become very small, and it's really difficult to train these muscles to get them nice and strong again. So we work with global space agencies to develop this rehab machine to help make sure when astronauts come back from space, they can be nice and healthy again and not have any back pain. And in the video here, you can see me measuring how well these back muscles are working when someone's exercising on the device. And I'm using an ultrasound scanning device to do that, because I can see the muscles from outside of the body. And this research might help anyone, both astronauts, but people down here on Earth too, who have back pain. The other role that I have is leading a group that reviews data from all around the world on astronaut medicine. So as I mentioned earlier, this means collecting all the data on medical topics to do with astronauts, scoring the quality of it, then documenting what the scientific findings are that should feed into medical guidelines that the flight surgeons use to look after astronauts while they're in space. This helps make sure that global space agencies are using all the latest scientifically proven methods to keep astronauts fit and healthy. And again, all the research we do can help people on Earth, so whether they have back pain and whether we find something really useful from when we're doing these wider medical reviews, we'll always make sure that if anything's useful to people on Earth, we highlight that. So working in space science is definitely a potential career route for anybody. And if it's something you're interested in, then studying science, technology, engineering, and maths are great ways to get started. So work hard at your science and maths lessons. But more widely, science and engineering is also about looking at the world, figuring out how things work, and building things as well. You also need to try and be a good team member, so working nicely with others when you're doing things together like project work or in sports teams as well.